I'm a huge fan of the Conjuring series. I think the first one is absolutely brilliant. The second one is quite good. The third one is sorely missing James Wan at the directing helm of this. Now, The Conjuring 3 follows Ed and Lorraine Warren yet again as we are thrown into a exorcism at the start of the movie, and a wonderful set piece that's really inventive and kind of terrifying at the start, but it feels more actiony more than horror. There's an 8-year-old boy at the heart of this one who is being possessed and who Ed and Lorraine are trying to help. Unfortunately, the demon attacks Ed, causing him to have a heart condition that sees him kind of deteriorate rapidly throughout the movie as well, trying to overcome something that's happened to him. But in trying to save this 8-year-old boy, a friend of the family, Arnie, invites the spirit into him, and it ultimately leaves the boy going into Arnie, and this is where the crux of the story is going to be. When Arnie is possessed and a murder happens, he ends up in court and he is being charged with manslaughter, and his defence is possession, which kind of raises an eyebrow. And from then onwards, we kind of flip-flop through time as we go back to see how all this possession happened for the 8-year-old boy, moving into the house, how the weirdness started to grow, and how it ultimately affected and tried to discover who's behind all this nonsense that is going on. Now, I kind of liked some of the things it takes. I loved Ed and Lorraine back again. I think Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are wonderful together and create this terrific partnership of ghost paranormal hunters that I really do like a lot within the movie. I love the fact that their daughter has grown up yet again. We've kind of moved through timescales quite a bit, and we seem to be in the late 80s at this point. I think mid to late 80s, maybe early 80s actually, now I think about it. I love that we're jumping through generations as well on these big cases that they have. I love the fact that it's not just a ghostly entity. There is a reason behind this that is more natural, and it's causing of what's happening here. It's not just a case of a haunted spirit haunting a house. There's something a little bit more going on in this one, and a lot of the imagery is really well done, but it doesn't seem to have that creative spark that Wan always had. Those wonderful directing touches, that sense of creating atmosphere and building it from the ground up. It feels almost perfunctory. It does enough to be interesting, but it's not one that I can see myself going back and watching again and again like I did with The Conjuring. The Conjuring 3 really shakes up the mould of the series because it feels as if the horror is almost secondary in this movie. We seem to be focusing more on the mystery and what's going on with that. One aspect of the movie that I really did love was the sort of throwback to the history of the Warrens and how they first met, their relationship, and little bits of information that you get towards them. Is it necessary? Not really, but in this movie it's a little bit of a distraction to what else is going on, and it's nice that way. But like I say, I really do feel that the horror is almost secondary here, and it's not as nerve shattering as it is in the first two. There's no standout horror entity in this one that's really going to latch on and possibly get a sequel or a spin-off or something like that. There's none in this kind of movie that has that visage of just pure terror driving home the scares. The Conjuring 3 is fine. You know, it does the job. It brings back wonderful characters that we love, gives them a little bit more of a backstory. The horror, like I said, isn't as great, and again takes a bit of a back step towards the mystery because it's not what's behind this but who. Adds an interesting take on this, but ultimately detracts a lot from the sort of Warrens and their supernatural quest to stop this evil. I'd love to know your thoughts on The Conjuring 3. If you were a big fan of the first two, where you think it lands. Would you like to see more? Personally, I think that Farmiga and Wilson are so great together that I would love to see them do further adventures, but I'd really like to see James Wan come back because I think he's got a real grasp on these characters on this series and really puts a stamp on it, which is sorely missing here.